We came to Batman out, but I think most people are really interested in Batman as the in the box.
There you go.
Because, well, this artwork was done by Carmen Infantino. Mego redid it. This was from actually, originally, the artwork they gave Mego was a poster of Batman swinging over the city. Mike Jamaican was a Mego artist who redrew everything. And when we first submitted this to DC, they said, well, this isn't our artwork. This is, this is something different. And we said, exactly, it's Mego's artwork. Only Mego can use this. So this differentiates us from anybody else trying to make this kind of figure. When you go down to collectors, they don't want something that looks kind of, sort of, like what it was. They want that sight. They want to be able to look at that. I fell in love with Mego Superman because I got Batman and Robin. And when looking at the gallery picture, I said, oh man, I should have gotten Superman.
I think
that's what makes it
we
cool.
over there with that, looking at the gallery and, wishing for all of them at one time, growing up.
Remember, they told us, collect them all. So, collect them all. They gave you an edict on the package. Removable mass Robin.
How cool is that?
Now, the Robin box is always a strange color. So in order to make sure the factory hit the color right, I sent an original Robin box to the factory. Never to be seen again. But it gave them...
We appreciate your sacrifice, Paul. Thank you.
Thank you for your sacrifice. It gave them the right color and it gave them the right insert. So that when making the insert for these boxes, they are exactly like the originals. Not plastic, not,
right.
They unfold just like the originals. The only problem might be getting a color. But, oh sorry, Robin lost his mask. Oh dear. Now I have to buy another one.
Is that a reveal there, Paul? Dick Grayson, possibly?
Is that a reveal? Yes. Yes, sorry, yes. The Dick Grayson face. Sorry, let's see that behind.
It looks like the material on the outfit and the cape, they look pretty dead on, Paul. I mean,
well, because here's a secret. It's actually umbrellas. Mego used the vinyl, nylon, the same nylon used for everyday umbrellas. In searching for the material, I had to tell the factory, you're trying too hard. It's just umbrella material, just plain old everyday umbrellas. They were sending me samples that were silky or thick, and I was like, no, you're overthinking it. This was cheap toys. It was umbrella material. The oven mitts are the same vinyl they use for pool toys.
Right.
It's simple. So, sorry to give away a trade secret after 25 years, but
it looks like you really captured, the essence of those original Mego superheroes at this point.
well, that's what the job was.
What do you think, Steve?
We don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to make it that sweet spot that you remember as a kid. Every toy is a time machine.
It absolutely is.
Pick it up, and for a second, you're transported back to being a kid. If I can put this in your hand, and for a few seconds, you're 7 again, that's worth more than $20 for the item.
Right. And for me, that takes me back to Christmas 1976. Absolutely does.
it's like, I mean, that's why music is, old music is popular. Songs can trigger the past.
Right. And let me ask you guys, before you open that one up, Paul, are you guys going to pump in that original Mego smell of theirs? You guys know what I'm talking about?
Frank, I never really checked.
Steve, you know what I'm talking about?
Today
I
it's
don't
called
know. I don't know. It did, you know what? It did go to Jason Seville to be photographed.
Okay.
So it might smell like his hat.
Yeah, so Mego smell might be gone already.
You know what? I gotta remember that next time we get samples from the factory.
Yeah.
To smell.
Yeah.
But anyway, here's the new guy.
Wow. What do you guys
Hal
think of
Jordan, Green Lantern.
that? Yeah. Thumbs up?
Fine.
Yeah. Thumbs up to the crowd, Paul. Absolutely.
Power Ring Fist.
Yep.
I normally, like, if you read the comics, the boot should be flat.
Right.
But Mego would never have done that. Just like Mego didn't give Shazam Captain America boots.
Right.
They gave him the same boots as everybody. So it was kind of important to follow that same thing. Green Arrow didn't get boots that were, cut flat.
Right.
The funny thing is, Mego, when they did Mr. Fantastic, just took this boot and cut the top off. The Mr. Fantastic is another big secret. The Mr. Fantastic boot is the exact same boot as the World's Greatest Superheroes,
Just
and they
cut.
just cut part of the top.
And that was also used for, anybody know? What other figure, Mego
Well,
figure used that? Anybody? Hutch. First be Hutch love.
Actually, I was going to say, by the way, the Klingon boot,
Yeah.
if you cut the top off, is the Chips boot.
Right. Hey, Paul, let me ask you on that Green Lantern. The head sculpt looks really good.
The head
Who
sculpt is
sculpted that?
Is Andy Cavalt, which is one of our main sculptors. He really is responsible for a lot of the look of our figures. He does horror, he does superheroes, less so Star Trek. There are other guys that are more Star Trek. But Andy, all I had to do is say to him, Hal Jordan Green Lantern. He came back and actually offered me 2 sculpts, a Gil Kane version and a Neil Adams. And I said, well, gotta go Neil Adams, because it's gonna fit right in with the Green Arrow. And the Green Arrow that Mego made was designed by Neil Adams for Brave and the Bold 88.
Very cool, Paul. Steve, what do you think of what you've seen so far?
Well, I think this would be a really good time, since he mentioned Star Trek, to ask about the Trelane figure and where we are with that. I promised the ambassadors I would ask you about Trelane.
Here we go. Go ahead,
Did you
Paul.
say Trelane?
Yes, I did.
I'm showing you Amigo Green Lantern.
He had to, Paul. He had to ask him.
I serve the people.
I'd love to make Trelane. We gotta make sure that there's enough demand.
Agreed. Yep.
And quite frankly, now that Mego has its own Amazon store, we actually can look into smaller runs.
And
But it still kind of comes down to the factory minimums.
right.
It has to do with manufacturing. If there's enough demand, nobody's got anything against lesser characters from different universes. It's just the first criteria has to be, will it sell enough?
And just a heads up, he mentioned the Amazon store. That's actually Amazon/Mego Corp. If you guys want to take a look at that. So what do you got left, Paul? Paul, we didn't see suits, right? Superman.
Yeah, see, you were so amazed.
I
It
was.
started out with Superman.
Oh, there you go. You're right.
You want to see him?
You know what?
Want me to take him
Crack
out?
him out.
Now look at that back.
Let's take a look at it.
There you go. That's the problem, yeah. Seemed a little fuzzy.
There you go.
The sun shifted a bit here, so I think I got a better review.
I think it's pretty cool that you got the color. It looks to be almost exactly the same.
Now, if you've read World's Greatest Toys, you'll see that there's been quite a variation over the years with the costumes. You know, a great source material for keeping all the details on this was Ben Holcom's book, World's Greatest Toys,
It's a great book.
where he showed that the different factories over the years made different versions. But basically, yeah, we sent an original Superman costume to the factory. By the way, his emblem is a sticker, just like the original.
And that's the
This is
same.
screen it on.
Oh, that's the same.
Because
That's the same for Batman, Robin.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
Okay.
Shazam, Green Lantern. No silk screening. The whole point is, if you want to peel off this sticker and put another one on, that's entirely up to you. As a kid, I used to scour comic books looking for the right size S to replace my Superman S.
Well, Paul,
That was the first thing to go.
let me pause you there and share a personal story of mine from my childhood. I had an uncle who was 8 years older than I, and he, introduced me to a lot of cool toys. So one day he takes my Mego Batman and he cuts the yellow part off the sticker to try to make, an earlier version of Batman, and he puts the sticker back on there. I was like 7 years old. Well, yeah, I cried. That was a very I haven't recovered from that.
That makes a collector.
Right.
It's trauma. Collectors are trauma.
He's right.
I have spent 20 years talking to collectors. Every one of them tells me the same story. My mother threw out my toys. My little brother destroyed them.
Yeah.
There's always this element of I did not end the relationship.
Right.
And that, I think, is the difference between just somebody who plays with toys and somebody who collects them.
How about you, Steve?
The first fight I ever got in as a kid, somebody threw my Robin out the window of the school bus. That shaped my whole life.
These wounds live with us forever.
I mean, I've told this story many times, I'll tell it again. September of 1976, I started 7th grade. My mother said to me, "You're too old to be playing with dolls. Get rid of them. Go meet a girl." And I said, "Well, I'll put them in the basement." She said, "Oh, no, you just go back to them. You have to get rid of them." So I had to bring him to a friend's house and give him to his little brother. A week later, I went back, figuring I'm going to play with my Megos. And his brother had destroyed everything. And my friend was like, "Oh yeah, my brother just wrecks those."
That's
So-
a heavy trauma, Paul.
That's a trauma.
It explains a lot.
It does.
Yes. 6 years later, May of 1982, I turned 18, and my girlfriend bought me Mego Superman, Spider-Man, and Captain America from Toys R Us.
She sounded like she was a kid.
And she said, "Well, I know you like superheroes." And I was like, "You got the Megos." My mother made me get rid of them. I'm 18, I can do what I want. I have a car, I have a job. I'm back. I'm going to buy them all up again. I married that girl.
There you go.
And
Good work
40
out.
years to the day, Marty Abrams came to my house for my birthday, my 58th birthday, and I showed him those same Megos that I have not let out of my sight since that day. And he was like, "So this is," he looked at my wife and said, "You're to blame for all this?" Once I found out Mego was out of business, I knew I had to bring it back. Somebody had to bring it back. So when the internet came out in the late 90s, I realized, and I found the Mego Museum, I found I wasn't the only grown man that wanted his toys back. And then I started making replacement parts. And as I did, I encountered a manufacturer in China who was willing to work in small numbers, like 3,000. So I got the bodies made, I got boots and belts and capes. So I was able to actually bootleg the DC superheroes by 2004, complete with the boxes. And I met Marty Abrams.
Well, I can speak for myself. I think I bought tons of that stuff from you back then.
Thank you. Thank you for your support.
Sure.
I met Marty and I said, "I want to bring back Mego." And he said, "Sure." and lots of guys do. Why don't you go get something like the Star Trek license and come talk to me? So I spent 2 years getting the Star Trek license, made a deal with Diamond Select to make Star Trek Megos. So I brought him to Marty's house and pulled out the Andorian and showed it to him. And he said, "Well, you really nailed it. I swear this came out of my factory." And he's like, "All right, what can I do for you?" And I said, "I want to bring back Mego. I need, it's not Mego without your name, without you." And he's like, I don't know, I'm not ready for that. But I'll get you, so I'll talk to the president of Mattel, the president of Hasbro. We'll see if we can't, get you something. And that's how the retroaction line was born.
Well, Paul, let me ask you this too. I mean, you bring up a good point about Marty, maybe not wanting to bring it back as soon as we really wanted to come back. Do you think,
Right.
like, him seeing other companies out there, making Mego-like and, that type of figure coming back, and it played any part in, in making the decision to bring that stuff?
At first his attitude was, what the heck, I got a whole other life. But as he started to see one knockoff after another, and they were kind of bad quality, he's like, this is kind of, the bad quality of this stuff is really impinging on the reputation of Mego. Because the general public doesn't understand. Also, Target came to him and said, "We want to make this a major project. We want to bring this in." Well, that had become something worth doing. So that's when Marty said to me, "You work for me now." And that was while we were filming the Toys That Made Us documentary.
If you guys haven't seen that yet, it's on Netflix. I would encourage you to watch it. It's really cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, watch the Star Trek films.
Yeah, that's cool too. Very cool.
Anyhow, so, it didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen all at once. I got to do Marvel with Diamond Select, Universe Monsters, but until Marty brought back Mego, it wasn't Mego. It was me making retro cloth, or 8-inch. When NECA does it, it's not Mego, it's 8-inch.
Paul, I'll say this. I really enjoyed your MC Toy stuff, but like I always say, if it doesn't say Mego on the back, it's not Mego.
Mego has a certain simplicity of style that transcends, that takes you right back to being a kid. That's the key to all this. I don't want to just make a toy. I don't want to make an action figure. I want to make something that makes you feel like it came out of the past. I always want to put a little something of the old Mego in there and kind of like make the head sculpt not look, crazed. To me, Hulk and Conan always had the strangest expressions. They were constantly angry. Every other Mego had
I
a
think
neutral
Thor's some little pets too, just to bring him
Thor was nobility with muscle.
Yeah, there you go.
That's how Jack Kirby described Thor.
Yeah.
So yeah, Thor had Thor actually and Mr. Fantastic are actually two of the best sculpts Mego did. And whenever giving a sculptor reference, I send them those and say, this is what we're going for. You recognize the character, and yet it's well sculpted.
I can kind of see a little bit of, maybe it's just me, with associating things. I can see a little bit of Reed Richards in that Green Lantern sculpt too. It looks really, yeah, it
I
looks
would
good.
put it past Andy.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good. That same.
There's, Hal Jordan and Reed Richards are very similar.
Right.
Net and Jordan,
Yep.
straight,
Very cool. They look great, Paul.
Yes, they do.
Okay, Paul, I've got a question for you. So
Yes.
umbrella technology did not advance any in the last 50 years, so you were able to get...
Well, no, so they had to do, they had to find vintage umbrellas from the 1970s.
Okay, all right. So the other thing that kind of makes Mego besides the bodies is that cloth, that texture of that cloth on the bodysuits is really, really hard. How close are you able to get to that in 2022?
Well, that's four-way spandex. I mean, you know, the trick is, like I said, when I did the Endorian and the Romulan for Star Trek, I sent originals to the factory. I had to pay $500 for an original in Romulan to make sure the factory knew what it had to look like. So when doing the superheroes, it's absolutely vital we get the right look. So I sent originals from my collection to the factory, never to return.
Thank you for your sacrifice.
Did I mention that before?
We appreciate it.
Listen, I would like to do Supergirl with the peace belt.
There you
So
go.
as I said last week on the live, I need someone to donate a peace belt. Never
Anybody
to
out there?
return.
Mr. Paul Clark?
Yeah.
Needs a
I
piece
know
of-
Brian Heiler said he would send one, but I don't want to pressure him. But
I'm looking.
did Brian ever arrive?
Brian is supposed to arrive tonight in time for the meet and greet tonight at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
The meet and greet here in the convention. If
I don't know.
you guys want to attend and talk Mego. So, they look great, Paul. They really do.
I just hope he's not trapped in the airline system.
Yeah, right.
He's driving.
There you go.
Oh, there you go. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so if you see Brian, just mention it. You know, by the way, did you send it?
yeah, we will.
Because, you know, I don't want to hold up production on the super gals.
You guys are hearing that, right? Super gals. There you go. Hopefully he'll be back here shortly. There he is. So, okay, so Paul, you're talking super gals. So at that point,
What? Do they go somewhere?
he just a little bit, just a pop-up came up. But anyway, the super gals, that's a big deal. I mean, you talked about Supergirl before, but now we're talking, what, Wonder Woman, I guess, Catwoman? Yeah, Batgirl?
Yeah. Well, you saw the video when they were doing the Batman belts.
Right.
They also, the same tool has Batgirl belts.
There you go. Very cool.
So you're not going to block out the other, it's
Yeah.
not worth blocking out that cavity.
Yep. Very
They'll
cool.
hold them in the box until the point we're ready to go.
Gotcha. So,
Quick question, is there any chance of the silk screen versions of the Super Gals?
Well, you know what, Steve? I asked Brian this the other day, because he seems to be the best source for anything. Does somebody have those patterns?
I know a
I
guy.
mean, we have this great community.
Steve knows about Paul. He said he
of
just said he
artists.
knows about it.
Well, there you go. So if I was in there in person, I could have just asked you.
Right.
But, that's basically, I'd like to send to the factory, but let me ask you this also. When we do a 50th anniversary, would it look kind of cheap to that have,
Boots.
better looks?
What do you guys
Yeah.
think as far as that goes?
If I were to get,
Wonder Woman was always silkscreen, so.
I don't know, I guess I feel like, when you go out with the super gals, or the super pros, you want it to look as good as you can.
You just said super pros, Paul.
I did?
You did. Okay.
Yeah,
There you go.
because, no, we're gonna, you don't think I'm gonna try to do everything I
I'm not saying,
possibly
I'm
can?
waiting for you to say stuff, and then, that's a reveal for everybody. Thank you. That's awesome.
It's only in my head. It's not a reveal, it's not real until they solicit and take orders and say, we're going to production.
Right.
I have to line up everything ahead of time. And including packaging, we have to get everything ready to go. So the day they say, let's make them,
Yep.
they're like, why isn't it already at the factory?
Hey, Paul, is there a hidden message in the fact that you have Marvel posters behind you?
No, Steve, this is just my little computer room. Actually, I also have a poster of Watchmen signed by the movie cast.
Very cool.
Because I made custom figures for the Watchmen movie.
That's wishful thinking on everybody's part in the room, Paul, as far as. Yeah.
I know we've talked to DC, and they gave us a lot of things in our new license, and Watchmen was not among them.
Yeah.
So they said, look, everything's open. You just have to tell, you have to tell us you want it. So, I mean, I look at Watchmen and say, is that outside of the Mego look? Or the fact that nobody's really been able to do Watchmen action figures, say something else.
What do you guys think about that?
Is there a problem?
Yeah, we a lot of
Get them out the door.
On the Watchmen wall.
But no, these are the Marvel posters are just from the Marvel Mania from the '60s. Somebody made new ones, new copies, and I just think they're really cool. My wife actually said, why don't you hang them in the hallway as you come in the front door? And I go, you are the greatest collector wife. But even I think it's too much to have framed posters of superheroes in the hallway when you come in the door.
It's never too much fun.
It's never too much. Like Daniel was a shrine to me, though.
Yeah.
If I was mobile, I would bring you in there and show you. I put pictures up. Oh, as soon as I got these samples from the factory, I took the originals out of my display case and took pictures of them side by side. Someday I gotta remember to load those up.
Yeah, we'd like to see those, that's for sure. Paul, let me ask you this. I mean, I know you can't say too much, but I mean, with the Green Lantern, that's a great figure. I think everybody was really happy and surprised to see that addition to this 50th anniversary lineup. Are you thinking, like, there may be no character reveal, name reveals, anything like that? Or are you thinking maybe more along those lines? Something that
members of the Justice League?
Yeah, exactly. Something that Mego didn't do back in the day with the world's greatest superheroes. I mean, are you looking to continue past what Mego did originally?
Something you can do fast.
Something you do fast. There you go. Yeah.
I can do quickly.
So there you go, folks.
But of course,
yeah.
I mean, I want to see this line go the way the original line should have gone. Instead of only being a few characters and then stopping.
Right.
To keep doing more. Because, quite frankly, we have a committed audience of adults who will support the best popular characters.
Yes.
I
have a list.
Of course, it doesn't hurt that DC is releasing Black Adam with Dr. Fate, Hawkman. Adam Smash really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you're seeing, for the first time, people are going to know who the Justice Society is.
Yes.
I mean, every school child knows who Thanos is now.
Right.
In 1974, I would have thought that was impossible. And now, actually, at some point, they're going to all know who Adam Warlock is.
You're hoping.
They are. They're casting Adam Warlock.
Right. Yeah.
So, I mean, the nerds have taken over the earth.
Yes, we have.
Comic books are no longer looked at as taboo. Thanks to Star Wars,
right.
Toys are not looked at as something only for children. So we're all, I want to push the envelope as far as I can on this. I want to see the Mego generation pass this on to a new generation who doesn't have the stigma of a cloth figure being a doll, being viewed as something less,
Right.
Given what a lot of manufacturers are doing, a lot of high-end, or the high-end 1/6 scale stuff, it's all it's cloth costumes, what Mezco's doing, with his 1/12, it's cloth costumes with a lot of cool accessories. It may have to be a higher price.
Right.
This part of what puts Mego in the toy area is the low price.
Right.
Can I
As
ask
we
you?
as we raise the quality, we'll have to raise the price.
That's good news. Can I ask you where you stand on vehicles now? Because Batman and Robin always needed a Batmobile.
The tired of walking.
JCPenney catalog said so.
When I was doing retro action at Mattel, we were doing Batman, and I said, "This is the house. I mean, come on, you guys are the biggest toy company in the world. Can we do a Batmobile?" And they said, well, I said, "Barbie has a car." And they said, "When you're doing Barbie numbers, you can have a Batmobile." So vehicles are a large in cost, and you have to be sure that you're going to get a decent return. And what am I going to do? Replicate the Mego Batmobile? Somebody just did that. I'd like to reinvent the Mego Batmobile. I'd like to, do something a little different, but then it doesn't quite give you that feel, of I'm a kid again.
Hey, Paul, here's an idea for you. Throw it out there next time you're in the office. 50th anniversary exclusive Mego Batmobile for, put the idea out there to the bigger retailers and see what we get back.
Anytime, yeah. It's a question of how well this does.
Right.
So, vehicles are not off the table, play sets aren't off the table, it's just simply a matter of the right time.
So Paul, let me go back to this. I don't know how much you can say or if the decision's been made on this yet, but with the super gals, or will they be on the new female body, or are you still leaning towards using the original Mego body, or is it? Paul's gone. Okay.
Yeah,
Fire him another invite.
What's that?
We're gonna start another session. Fire him another invite.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Cool.
we have 10 minutes left.
What's that?
We have 10 minutes left.
All right, well, let's, when Paul comes back on, we'll open up the questions. If you guys want to ask the questions now, Steve and I will try to answer the questions as best we can until Paul comes back on. But if you guys want to throw something out there, we're more than happy to, engage in some questions and answers and some dialogue if you guys want. Yeah, go ahead, man.
I had a question about, when he was talking about
Yeah.
vehicles and play sets.
Sure.
If the numbers are concerned,
Right.
what about making them an exclusive, like Entertainment Earth or CLC
Yeah,
or something
yeah,
like that,
yeah.
that not necessarily made to order like Tops per se.
Right.
But they wouldn't have to worry about Walmart filling the shelves.
Oh, right,
and
yeah.
Target filling the
I
shelves.
really think that, this is just me talking with my limited knowledge based on where I'm at with what I do with Mego. I think if we do see vehicles and or play sets, I think it will be more tailored to our online vendors and retailers, just because you don't have to worry about like a retailer being concerned about shelf space and those sorts of things. But I think if that does come to fruition, I think that's the way they will end up seeing it. It may not be actually even an exclusive. It may just be like an online retailer versus like a brick and mortar store. You know what I mean? I think something like that could possibly work. So yeah. I'm with you. Steve's a fan. I'm a fan. Paul's a fan. We'll grow up with it. And we'd love to have vehicles, play sets, and you name it.
Cardboard and plastic.
Yeah, it's fine. You know what I mean? Or, I was thinking, and I brought this idea up to Paul many times, and also, Marty and Joel. Stuff, and Steve can speak to this, just like stuff that you actually put together yourself. Like it comes in a flat box and you gotta put it together yourself. Like, the displays we were talking about yesterday.
Right.
Yeah, those are fantastic. Something like, put on a bookshelf or something like that, that you put together yourself. So, we've thrown these ideas around just like you guys have, you know what I mean? So, we'd love for it to happen. But I think if something like that were to happen, it would more likely be like in a one retailer space. But again, that's just me speaking from my limited knowledge. You know what I mean? And who knows? We may come back 6 months and there be maybe a brick and mortar store exclusive. You just don't know. So,
Yeah, like the Batmobile, the original Mego Batmobile, the tooling for that would be a lot less than a reworked Batmobile.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure a reworked one would be more elaborate.
Right.
It's just by the nature of reworking. But
You could do different colors.
Oh yeah, you could do some deco on, some different, paint apps and stuff like that. You could definitely buy them though. Yeah.
I'd love to see a blue one to match the original Mego blue.
That's like, that would be cool. Yeah, that would be really cool. That's
Change
great
the
idea.
interior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do something with that. Yeah, I'd love to see it. I buy 10 myself. You know what I mean?
Same.
Yeah, exactly.
Just for the box.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. So, anybody else have any other questions or anything you guys want to talk about? I'm more than happy to, talk about anything you guys want. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, from the Target run up until now, there's definitely been a significant increase in the sculpts and costumes and
Yes.
everything.
Yep.
And it's kind of going away from the retro, but I mean, it still has the body and everything.
Yeah,
But I'm liking these new sculpts and like the
Right.
costumes and everything
Yeah.
being more modern.
Yep.
Do you think that's a continual thing aside from like the
I think it is.
superheroes?
When you look at it, and I'll let Steve answer too, or talk to it, I think it's like, if you look over the course of Mego when they originally came out, with like the Type 1 stuff, the Type 1 type of figures that came out in 72, then the way they progressed into 76, and you saw like Green Arrow, and you saw the Fantastic Four, and some of those, improvements you saw. I think you're seeing that now, from 2018 to now. But then again, I think for us, what Mego, what they want to do is that they want to keep, that retro feel that we all grew up with, but then also maybe to appeal to even, a larger audience with some of these newer, looking sculpts and the more detailed stuff like that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of, there's a balance that, you have to maintain with that.
Yeah, I think that you probably wouldn't want to get any goofier than Thor. I mean, I
Yeah.
would have Thor as my starting point, maybe Green Arrow,
Right.
or the way they progress to those, that'd be my starting point. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't go any farther back to Deadeye, Captain America, or,
Right.
other than Batman or anything like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But I also wouldn't do Sideshow either.
Yeah.
Try to
And
hit that
I
happy.
think, you saw with, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Hasbro Pulse G.I. Joe set. You saw a lot of, more detailed sculpts, more accessories, the outfits were more detailed. I think you're gonna see that with the Ghostbusters set that's coming out in October as well. It's kind of like that same, vein as the G.I. Joe set. And those are like really detailed, but I think it's, again, still keeping that balance. I mean, they're detailed, but when you still look at it, to me, it still reads as a medium. And I think that's what they want to maintain, so, yeah. But, yeah.
Going along with the previous question, for the three lantern,
Yes.
is the face I'm using Mego by the
Oh,
way.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
the face new, or is it?
It's a brand new sculpt. It's a brand new sculpt, by the sculptor, his name's Andy Cavol. He does a lot of sculpting for Mego. And, what Andy tries to do is he tries to still, keep the essence of the sculpt to look like Mego, but still put his spin on it. So it is a brand new sculpt, but it fits right in with the original rules for superheroes.
I was speculating it might be new, because the contour is a little bit more sharper. And
Yeah, exactly. It is a new sculpt. Yep.
Thank you.
Sure, absolutely.
Do you think Andy would have sculpted that differently if he wasn't trying to make it match as well with the?
I think so. I mean, I think from what Paul's told me, I think Andy came back to him with 3 digital sculpts, with different, based on different artists. And I think, Paul like that would be best to do them the most great superheroes. Yeah.
I haven't seen them side by side, obviously, but that
Right.
one looks an awful lot like the Mattel.
Yeah, it does a little bit. I've actually seen the prototype in hand, and from the pictures it looks like the Mattel. But this one, the features are sharper to the point where it reminds me more of Reed Richards.
Okay.
Yeah, so but I agree with that. Yeah. So, and again, that kind of makes sense too because Paul did the retro Mattel variety things too. So I guess Dr. Mego is not coming back. He's left the building, but you guys have any other questions for us? Yeah,
One more.
absolutely. Man.
Has there been any talk about some of the earlier lines that were started
Right.
since Mego's been back?
Yep.
Finishing those. We have a lot of lines that have like 3 figures and that's
Yep.
it.
Yep.
Wizard of Oz is probably the most glaring one.
Yeah.
And I don't really care that much about Cheers.
Sure, I understand. Yeah.
But
I mean, for me, I would love to see Lord of the
It does-
Rings continue.
yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't make a lot of sense to have,
Yeah.
not to have a 10-man. I
Right.
mean, I know that there's the old line, but
Sure.
this is the new line.
Sure, yeah,
Has
yeah.
there been any talk about?
I can tell you, there hasn't really been any talk of continuation of lines. I mean, the stuff is thrown around all the time as far as what we think people want, what we think will sell at retail. I mean, there's got to be, you've probably heard this before, there's got to be enough people out there to justify making 10,000 pieces or 20,000 pieces, you know what I mean? And I personally think Wizard of Oz is a great idea. I think there are a lot of collectors out there. It has a huge fan base for Wizard of Oz, so you never know. I mean, I'd love the person to see the Lord of the Rings continue. Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that Target drove the bus on those early licenses.
Yeah.
And I don't think if Mego had their choice initially, they would have even gone with a lot of those. So I think between probably some of the lower sales on those and the fact that they weren't their top choices anyway,
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of those ever being fleshed out. I'd love to see Oz too. I'd love to have a flying monkey.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I think, again, this is just me going off what I think, and to Steve's point, I think they're going to delve back into that. They may not continue the line by like coming back out with like a Scarecrow or a Tin Man, because those are so readily available, still the vintage ones, but maybe expand on the line to do like a flying monkey or maybe some of the other characters that we didn't see. I think that would be cool, yeah.
And tooling for Tin Man would be quite a chunk to
Sure.
Yeah,
make it match.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions out there? Are you guys excited for the world's greatest superheroes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I am too. I am absolutely excited for that.
Is there a street date yet?
What I'm hearing is fourth quarter. I'm hearing as early as September, as late as November. I guess it would all depend on when they ship from the factory with, coming through customs and stuff like that. But they're supposed to hit fourth quarter this year, so. Yeah.
Was Aquaman and Green Arrow part of the initial?
I don't think Green Arrow is going to be part of the initial assortment. Don't quote me on that. And I think with Aquaman, the only reason Aquaman wasn't shown is that the sample didn't come back from the factory in time. So that's for photography. That's the only reason. So, but things are fluid. I mean, things.
And where will they be available?
They will be available, from what I understand, all major retailers, in-store retailers, also any place that sells action figures online retailers. So I know a lot of places out there are taking pre-orders on all this stuff already. So if you guys are interested, Paul mentioned the Mego Amazon store. You've got your Empty Earth, your Big Bag Toy stores. Myself, Absolute Retro, CLC Collectibles. We're all out there taking pre-orders on stuff down south. Yeah.
But really, there's nothing cooler than walking into Target
Yes.
and
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. How many of us have those memories? I mean, I remember going into Woolworths and picking them up with my mom.
Yeah.
I remember going into Kitty World and seeing them on the, so that kind of stuff. You can't beat that experience. So. But look, I think we're right about time. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us today. If you haven't stopped by the Mego booth or the Mego Museum booth yet, please do so. We do have information on the meet and greet tonight at 7 o'clock. It's going to be, I believe, on the second floor, but I think it's back at the Mego booth. Now, what is it back there?
C160 through C162.
Yeah.
It's across from the sign. Like, there's a brown wall where there's a big letter C.
Right?
It's-
C160.
Yeah, it's along that hallway.
And again, what we're doing tonight is just getting together again and just talking on the morning and setting about Mego and how it's, talking about what we want to see and sharing memories, that kind of stuff. So if you guys can join, please join. Thank you for coming today. We appreciate it. We appreciate the brand support. If you guys haven't yet, check out the Mego Museum, Plaid Stallions. Follow Mego Corp on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We share a lot of new content on there, on that daily. So you can check it out. So, hey, thank you guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you.